Good morning. Great to see so many beautiful faces in the room. My name is Jamie Gonzalez. I'm the Community and Economic Vitality Manager here at the City of Avondale. Kudos to Adam and the team for organizing this event today and bringing all of you together. And thank you to all of you. I know all of you are extremely busy. And so for you to be here this morning and sharing your time with us, you obviously understand the value of this conversation. In economic development, we touch all sectors, right? So we focus on our nonprofit and our large corporations. We focus on our small corporations. But workforce and education is a huge factor in that, as is our nonprofit and our community partners. And so I'm so privileged this morning to be able to have a diverse panel representing all of those areas up here with us today. And so I'm going to take just a few minutes to allow them to kind of introduce themselves. Just a quick show of hands. If you are in the for-profit sector, can you raise your hand? See an idea who's here? What about in nonprofit community organizing? All right. And what about education? Right. Any government? And somewhat government, yeah, education, government, kind of on the same thing. Okay, great. So we got a nice representation here. We're going to keep this very casual and engaging. And so we just hope you have a great time this morning with this incredible panel. So up first, we have Zach Van Verlo with GPEC.
All right, thanks, Jamie, and thanks to the City of Avondale for hosting us today. This is truly such an awesome event from our service territory, as I'll get into here in just a second, covers the entire Phoenix metropolitan area, and it's so awesome to see an economic development organization putting on a green business event, bringing small business owners out and providing real solutions to help our community go greener. So first off, I want to start with a kudos to them. And then taking a step back, we'll just say that, GPEC, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, for those that are unfamiliar, we are a 501c3 public-private partnership economic development organization representing the entirety of the Phoenix metropolitan area. Our organization consists of 22 different municipalities, cities, and towns around Metro Phoenix, as well as Maricopa and Pinal counties here in central Arizona, and about 200 private sector investors as well. We exist to fulfill our mission of attracting and growing quality businesses to Metro Phoenix, as well as advocating for the competitiveness of our region for future projects to come. And here I want to touch on, just to set the stage for what is GPEC doing in sustainability, in climate technology, and circular economy. And I certainly think we'll probably dive into some of these more so than others throughout the conversation today. But as you can see on the screen, we're working in projects in a number of different sustainable industries. Hydrogen, I certainly want to make sure I put up vertical farming here as 1.1 calls Avondale home, definitely our shining star in Metro Phoenix when it comes to vertical farming. But certainly a lot of activity across the EV space, batteries, sustainable aviation fuel, municipal solid waste, circular economy solutions, you name it, carbon capture. And really excited to be here and appreciate you guys having me.
All right. My name is Nanda. I'm with Arizona Forward. Just out of curiosity, is anyone familiar with Arizona Forward already? Okay. So we are a nonpartisan nonprofit. We are membership based. And what we're really good at is convening dialogue around the critical sustainability issues in Arizona. So I think I have our mission and vision statement in the next slide, but just to explain some of the programming that we do and the way that our members are involved. We have over 120 members currently, and they are from all different sectors. So we have members from municipalities, cities, towns, tech, transportation, waste companies, universities, and I could go on, architecture firms, engineering firms. And so the way that they're engaged with us is through our regional councils. So we have 3 regional councils, one in northern Arizona, central Arizona, and southern Arizona. Those are elected positions, but members who are in those parts of the state can get together quarterly and discuss issues that are specific to that part of the state. And we also have our issue committees. So on the next slide, you'll see that we have 4 issue committees. Those meet every other month, and that is I think the best way to get involved, they meet virtually, and we're there to talk about water strategies, clean energy, climate action, and waste and circular economy. Beyond that, we are known for some signature events. So we have our Environmental Excellence Awards. That's an event that's been going on since 1981, I believe. And so that is an opportunity for us to honor and recognize those organizations and companies that are doing really great and innovative work in the state. It's a pretty fancy awards gala, and we just had that in March, so not too long ago. And then we're also known for our statewide sustainability summit. So that summit, it changes, the topic changes every year. In October, we talked about clean energy. So we had 5 panels where we had municipalities, nonprofits, corporations, the utilities come and talk about what they're doing to push for cleaner energy. And our summit, our new one is coming up November 1st, so save the date. TBD on the topic, but we will have it again in the fall. And last but not least, we have our Emerging Sustainability Leaders Program. So that's a wonderful program that I get to manage and oversee. It's in its 6th year, and what it is, it's I'd say mid-career professionals in their 20s and 30s, just people who are in the sustainability space or want to learn more about sustainability. And it's a 9-month program, and they're meeting one day each month. And each month we focus on a different topic. So we talk about forest health, clean transportation, energy, material flows and life cycles. And so it's just a really great way for those who are in this space or want to learn more about that space to get together and network, hear from subject matter experts, and also do some fun tours around the state. And I'll end there.
So my name is Becky Baranowski. I'm interim dean of STEM and workforce development. I am an educator at heart, and so when I was asked to join this panel, I was really struggling with how does education affect green business and sustainability? And so my head's been in a different place for the last 9 months. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And so I was asking a lot of questions about what is it from a college perspective, from an administrator, how can I support sustainability and green business? And how can our college reach out to the community? And so we were asking a lot of questions. And I finally, one of my faculty members, he told me this definition here at the bottom about sustainability is a social goal for people to coexist on Earth and for us, to coexist. And I because we don't have a specific program, okay, you get a degree in this and now you're going to be considered sustainable. It's been kind of hard for me to do this. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So then I started, when I attended an event at ASU, and so ASU, they had some experts that have green businesses that are trying to step forward and being better at what we do, and they were really good about saying, okay, as an education institution, these are the things that we're trying to do. We're trying to make things better. We're trying to improve our practices. And so this is where I started thinking, okay, now what can we do to help our businesses? Next slide, please. And so I had thought about, okay, well, what does Estrella do if we think of ourselves as a business? We have, a lot of our buildings are green buildings, and so we have landscape that is native to Arizona. We have, you have the, the like poles where the water can trickle down and it collects together, like things like that. It's things that we've done. One thing that we do for our students is we collect clothing and students can go pick out some new clothes. And so again, trying to think outside of the box to help our students and be, again, more sustainable and green. We also have, EMCC Recycles Day, and something that in my head I'm thinking maybe we could tap into and partner with is we have a community garden. And that's something that our faculty and our staff have worked very hard to develop as this community garden. And we have so many other initiatives. I've got faculty who ingrain sustainability within their coursework. A lot in the biology, engineering. I know some of the business faculty, they might build it into their practices with the curriculum. So it's embedded. Next slide, please. This is where my focus, I've been in this role for 9 months. This is the fastest growing industry, so some of them may not appear green. And so that, like, for the biggest one I've been focusing on is data centers, to be honest. And that's one where people are like, whoa, that takes a lot of energy. But I do know that that group is working very hard to what can they do to be more green, to be better, okay? And so this just to give, this is from Kevin Duncombe. He did this presentation through Westmark, and so I stole this slide from him just to let y'all know. Next slide, please. We do technically have 2 degrees. We have a degree and a certificate in sustainability, but no one's taking them. We can't offer the classes because we don't have enough interest in those classes. One of the things that may help us, though, is ASU is going to start requiring 1 class in sustainability in order to graduate. So that might slowly help build this. I'm also thinking about non-credit offerings because maybe we can partner with the coffee house. I wrote your name down, but like partnerships that we can do for non-credit offerings to say, hey, suppose a bunch of businesses want to learn to be more sustainable. What can we do as a college to help educate, to skill up? So I'm thinking non-credit classes, but we have a lot of opportunities. So I want to be a resource and help some partnerships. So I think that's it. Sorry, that was longer than you two, sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and those are my corny jokes. I'm a big believer in corny jokes, sorry. Gotta have some fun with us.
Dr. Baranowski asked if she could incorporate some jokes. I said, yes, absolutely. We do not want this to be boring and stale. I just immediately love the collaboration that's been taking place here today and between all of you before. Between Mia and Kalila are some great examples. I see Daphne in the room from Modern Grind. There's just so many great collaborations that are here. So quick show of hands, how many of you have worked with a collaboration out from someone outside of your sector? Maybe you're in business and you're working with an education partner or a community organizing partnership. Right? It takes a village, right? It's all interconnected. We can't just stay in our individual lanes. We have to work collaboratively. So, in your respective areas across these different sectors, how has these kind of buzzwords of sustainability and green business, how have they been evolving and changing in recent years? What are you seeing kind of going forward? And maybe who are some of the people who are making some of the greatest advancements in these areas? Dr. Baranowski, you mentioned data centers, right? They're oftentimes not seen as necessarily a green business from the get-go, but there's some changes that I think that are happening. And I know communities such as Avondale are really looking for people who are leading in that way to being advanced in these practices to being more sustainable. So Zach, maybe a question for the 2 of you.
So I have to bring notes because I'm always worried I'm going to forget key information. But I know from working with the data center group, there's a group called the iMasons. And this iMasons is a collective group of leaders of, instead of competing with each other, they're working together to try to improve relationships about data centers, because we're going to be probably #1 in the United States for data centers is Arizona. That's what's happening. They have 3 chapter initiatives: local education, industry thought leadership, and community engagement. And that community engagement piece, they are working very hard on what can they do with the community to help understand their perspective on how to be more green, how to understand water usage, energy usage, and so they're working together with the communities to make improvements in that area. I'm working with them through the education sector to try to funnel the workforce development, but they are definitely aware, and I've got the contacts if anybody wants to talk to them.
Great, yeah, and I think in my role, we've really focused as an organization over the last 2 to 3 years, I would say, on initiatives specific to and strategizing around how do we grow climate technologies or a circular economy here in Metro Phoenix, and it's changed relatively quickly in my eyes, and I think a lot of that is really being driven by the consumer. And when I look around the room, quite honestly, a lot of individuals that are a lot younger than most of us here. I think the younger generations are demanding products and services that are greener, that have a more environmentally conscious approach, and it's quite frankly pressuring these corporations and these businesses to make change. So I'm very optimistic, and I think the biggest change for me is that renewable energy comes up in almost every one of my conversations with groups today, and how, what is your base level grid mix from an APS or an SRP. How many renewables are on your grid in Arizona? That's part of the first, second conversations with these companies that are deciding where are we going to site our new manufacturing facility, and that was not necessarily the case 3 years ago.
I think Zach here's the expert on that topic, but you were asking for examples of companies who are just really shining in this space and all across the board, yes, from small businesses to large businesses. But I think we are also seeing some really lofty climate action plans um, throughout the state. At our Environmental Excellence Awards, we did honor and recognize 5 mayors who have really robust climate action plans, and I think that's exciting to see. We honored the mayors from Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa, Flagstaff, and Tucson, and they were all there happily speaking to what they're doing and how they're innovating and just trying to be greener and implement those policies into local government.
So Zach, can you talk a little bit more about the companies that are moving to Arizona, the businesses that you're attracting, and what industries are they in, and what skill sets are you finding that they're looking for in our local communities and our local workforce?
Well, we look to grow the entirety of the economy across all industries, but certainly some rise to the top, and certain skill sets are certainly more in demand. So, semiconductor, the battery industry, data centers certainly with the growth of AI and you know connected is the semiconductor industry. I think Greater Phoenix really is driving a lot of potential growth in AI across industries, given that we're manufacturing chips here. We're standing up data centers here. But the skill sets, I think, are going to be heavily leaning towards a lot of electrical technicians and engineers, given some of these massive growth waves we're seeing in that space. But I would say every company has their own needs, certainly, right? And they'll come to us asking, what does Greater Phoenix have to offer? And the great thing is we have a very, very deep talent pool, and it varies quite honestly from your forklift drivers to your material handlers to those engineers that are coming out of our higher education institutions. We're a very diverse labor pool, and we're an extremely large labor pool as well when you look across the United States. So we're well positioned to meet the needs of these companies. And I would say that the shift I'm also seeing on this side is that our educational partners that are able to meet the private sector and put together and piece together, sprint type of training programs that can stand up and train individuals to a certain threshold, which then allows them to go out and do some on-the-job learning on top of that, is a really, really strong model for attracting these companies.
And then Dr. Baranowski, kind of tagging on to that. So if these are some of the skill sets that we're seeing for these, where Arizona is kind of going, how is Estrella Mountain Community College, which is here in Avondale, by the way, we're very proud to be home to Estrella Mountain Community College. How can the West Valley residents and businesses, what are some maybe programs that our community can plug into to educate themselves to be prepared for these growing industries?
I think our biggest one with all the warehouses that are coming out here is we have our advanced manufacturing program. And so we're trying to train the universal technicians so that we give them basically 80% of the training. And then whatever's missing, they can get that on the job training with the company. And we actually have that housed at our West Mech campus out in Verrado. And so we've got amazing equipment to help train. And we're looking at possibly developing 2 new classes on technicians to work on alternative energy. So because this is something in the last, I would say 3 months, this alternative energy and sustainable energy has been a big thing that I'm starting to hear now. So I would say that we also have an AI program, but the thing is our AI program compared to I'm going to say the East Valley's AI program, they have Intel right there. So they're more of an AI computer science track, I would say. Whereas when I look at our industry out here, a lot of our partners, we've got Red Bull, Ball. I believe you say Rock, but someone told me it's Roush, and so I'm like, well, which one is it? And we've got APS, Palo Verde. I mean, there's so many groups out here. Sub-Zero, and we just have a different need, I think, with AI. And so we're looking at possibly how can we focus on more of the workforce development? How can we use AI as a tool to make our life a little bit easier if we own a business, not run our business? We don't want the robots, as was said earlier. So AI, cybersecurity is another big one, though. We have we definitely are getting attacked a lot more with all these warehouses out here, and it's all being automated. And so our cybersecurity program is another one that I'm hearing a lot of interest in as well. So those, I would say, those are kind of the three big things. I know that we've got tons of business. Of course, we've got our business program. So if we're working with a small business, I've got my faculty member over here, one of my leads. So I mean, there's so many opportunities that we have that we can tap into.
Dr. Brandowski is pointing to Vice Mayor Pineda with our Avondale City Council. So thank you so much for being here today, Vice Mayor. And Jonathan Robles with EMCC as well. So we have great partnerships there. Taking it personal for just a second, I know as a mom of two young boys, where I'm always thinking about their future and what's next. And I constantly hear, the jobs of tomorrow, really when they're going to be in the workforce, haven't even been created yet. They haven't even been dreamt up yet because of these innovations and the way that things are advancing. So keeping it personal for just a second, Zach, I hope you don't mind me saying this, he's joining us on day 3 of being back from paternity leave. So I think he's in a very similar boat to I am. I'm going to stand up for just 1 second. Actually, if you don't mind passing that down, we got you a little something there, Zach, which I thought was very relevant to today's conversation. If you want to take a quick peek, as I do a quick plug for our Avondale Visitor and Conference Center's gift shop, which is just right here in the lobby. So you're welcome. So definitely check that out on your way out the door today or on our next little break. So speaking of emerging leaders, the next generation, I'm going to pass the mic to Nanda to talk a little bit more about emerging leaders. I have sadly outgrown officially a young development or young professional status. I no longer age qualify. It's very sad. But tell us a little bit more about the Emerging Leaders Program. How does somebody get involved, and what industries are the individuals that are participating in this program? Where are they coming from, or where do they want to get into, and what are they kind of learning along the way?
So again, it's in its 6th year, and we have over 120 or so graduates to date, I want to say, and it is for primarily those in their 20s and 30s, but there is no age limit. We will try to work with anyone who wants to be a part of the program. It is an educational piece. It's a networking piece, which I think is very important. So to get involved, there is an application process. We do open that every summer, so it will be open in July. We'll go through all of the applications and pick our final cohort participants in August, and then we'll start the program up in September, and then they graduate in May. So it's again a fantastic program where you're learning about a different topic each month, and I'm seeing a lot of the emerging leaders coming from their industries reflect our membership base, to be quite honest. So we do see people from tech, transportation, utilities, waste management, some architects there as well, and then people from who work in government at the local and state level. So sometimes you'll see individuals who are at their companies and their sustainability department is them. They're a department of one, and it's sometimes because they're making that push for it. They're the ones who are saying, I want to be in this space, and it's important, it's needed. We're talking about that younger generation, Gen Z, who are so incredibly passionate about the environment and our future. And so I think that's so admirable to see someone who says, I'm the sustainability department, I created it, I started it. But then on the other hand, you're seeing companies who have really prioritized green advancements and more sustainable business models. And so they're hiring and ramping up because they have the means and the resources to do so. So I think that answered your question. Yeah.
As you've heard a lot today, Avondale is home to a very diverse mix of businesses, everything from industrial to small business and everything kind of in between. Um, but we predominantly have a lot of small businesses, as we've kind of seen in the room here today. And we love our small businesses. Oftentimes, small businesses, though, are kind of competing against the bigger guys because of smaller budgets, as we've talked about. And so there's, great programs out there like Spark, another plug for Spark. Um, that was kind of a fun, punny little joke there, plug for Spark. Unintentional. Thank you for laughing. Um, but our small businesses tend to have smaller budgets, which sometimes makes it a little bit harder to have budgets for special projects or marketing, or even education or benefits for themselves or their employees. And I think we see as a community, we're always looking to advance that next generation and help support our existing workforce. Um, I know from Daphne to Kalila, both of you are very involved in just encouraging your employees to grow and from within. And so, what are some resources or ways that our smaller businesses that might be working on a smaller budget be able to plug into these initiatives and where things are going for themselves or their employees? Any resources to get involved or educational opportunities?
The first thing that comes to mind, but I would be unfamiliar with this. I'd have to research it more. But I'm wondering if there's some grant opportunities. We do some grant opportunities with other industry partners to help grow them. And so I'm just wondering if there's something there that, because if we can do between a business and the school, I'd have to explore that. But that's the first thing I'm thinking of from an educational perspective.
Well, I feel like I'm a cheerleader for local first Arizona. So many people have referenced this wonderful program that they have, so the Green Business Boot Camp, um, which, by the way, they did win a Chris Cordia Award in our Environmental Excellence Awards Gala. So I can't hype up that program enough. I think if you're a small business, that is one of the best ways to learn about how to create your sustainability project plan. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with Greenlight Solution. They're another nonprofit organization, and that is incredible as I'm learning more about what they do. They are created by students at ASU, and so they are really there to empower emerging sustainability leaders as well. But I know that they also have another piece to their organization, which is they do some employee engagement lunch and learn. So I know that they will come and do these great seminars. I think they have two currently where they're coming in and giving you tips and best practices on how to go green and how to make your small business more sustainable. So I think right off the bat, those are two great resources to really tap into. And then if you're just looking to be with other like-minded individuals and add your voice to the dialogue, of course, got to plug Arizona Forward. That's another great way to connect into the community that's already talking about all of these issues.
Great, thank you. Well, I don't interface with these programs as much on a regular basis, but certainly I would give a plug to Maricopa Community College's Estrella Mountain and that sustainability class that they have that is, not meeting, the required enrollment numbers in order to take place. I think as a small business owner, if you could even maybe do a 50-50 match and encourage your employees to go get a little training, to get some education and knowledge on best practices and bring new creative ideas back to your small business, I think there's a lot of fruitfulness that can come from those types of arrangements and encouraging your employees to go out and follow their passions. So.
I can keep asking questions all day, but I think we have a few from our audience too, so I want to make sure we get your questions answered.
Okay, one of the first ones we received was, how can I apply for the Sustainability Leadership Program and when is the deadline?
Yes. So if you would like to be kept up to date on when that application comes out, if you go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletters. But that will open up in July, and applications will be received for about a month, and then we'll make our selection late August as well. So definitely sign up for our emails at arizonaforward.org.
Question for Zach. What can the region start doing better to make Arizona the best state for green jobs?
What can we start doing better? Well, hopefully we've already started, but I think being very conscious of how we use our natural resources and continuing to be good stewards of our water, of our natural resources, through even our power and our grid, and what is the highest and best use of our land, of our water, I think is certainly the best. But I think even more of a shift regionally in our mindset of collaboration. I think a good example of this is the Circular Plastics Micro Factory. It's a collaboration between ASU, City of Phoenix, Goodwill, and Hustle PHX. And they're taking plastic waste and remanufacturing, processing, and then remanufacturing all under one roof into new plastic goods on the back end. A first of its kind facility, but I think those types of collaboration are a great example that when we decide that these types of solutions and these types of operations are worth our time first off, and then we provide the financial resources on the back end, that we can make those types of projects happen if we think that they're worth our time. So more collaboration.
A question for both Nanda and Becky. Arizona Forward has an emerging sustainability leader program, but you can't find enough students, Becky, to take sustainability classes. Do you feel younger people are not interested in sustainability? Why or why not?
I don't know that I can answer that. I think it's we have a lack of resources at my college. We have one faculty member that's trying to manage the geology program and the sustainability program. So one person trying to oversee both of these. Advertising might be a problem. I don't think it's just that they're not interested. What do you do with the degree? Like, what do you do with it? Is it do the students take it because they want to become knowledgeable, or is it because they actually want to get a degree and do something? And I've got a list of things that they can do if they got that degree. And transfer partners, they can go to NAU, U of A, ASU, and but I think it's just getting the word out of what are these classes, what can you do with these classes, because we are really finding in higher education that this generation is not going to college. They're doing workforce development. They're going for the certificates. They're not going for the degrees. It's a different generation right now that we're seeing, and so it's trying to navigate that.
I can't speak to why they're not enrolling in these courses. That does baffle me, but in our program, we only have the resources to host about 30 participants in the program, and last year we had over 60 applications, so we had to turn down half of the group that applied. So there definitely is demand that I am seeing, and these are from folks who are in the sustainability space and are working and are out in the workforce. So I do see the need. I do see a demand. As far as the education piece, I'm not quite sure, but I did just hear that ASU is now making requiring sustainability as a an elective, a required course that you have to take to graduate, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's pretty fantastic to see that we're doing that here in Arizona.
Question for Zach. Your slide mentioned carbon capture and sustainable aviation fuel, two solutions notoriously funded by oil interests. Is there any third-party testing of those technologies that prove there is favorable real-life impacts to make it worth for our small business owners to consider pursuing?
I don't want to get over my skis here on this one. So I cannot say, which third parties have, vetted these technologies, but certainly there are more than two parties involved. So I would say there's a third party somewhere along the line that is vetting these. I mean, it's interesting when you think about carbon capture and sustainable aviation fuel, because it's actually potentially that you could take the CO2 that's captured from the atmosphere through some chemical processes and then turn it into sustainable aviation fuel. So whether or not you decide to get into that as a small business, I think is certainly something that needs to be considered on a case-by-case basis. Does it make sense for your small business to pay a premium, for sustainable aviation fuel if you're in aviation? Maybe not today. Do I think that that industry has real legs and will take off? Certainly. And I think it comes back again to the being driven by the consumer. As we continue to push for, more climate-friendly technologies, more climate-friendly fuels, it will continue to go that way. And I would say yes, certainly, generally speaking, there's a lot of scientists and researchers working on sustainable aviation fuel, and I don't think it's a hoax.
Becky, can you please share more info on the AI curriculum relevant to sustainability and small business?
Right now, the AI curriculum really is more aligned to a computer science degree. So with the programming, our faculty member right now is exploring on maybe modifying it, and so we're right in between. What are we going to do with AI in the West Valley? Because what's happening, like I said, it's Chandler Gilbert Community College and us that both have the AI program here in the Valley. It's computer science. It's all programming. And so we just don't see that our partners out here really want it that way. So the curriculum, I think, for us might start changing. So we're in the talking phase right now of what can we do to make it relevant to our workforce and to what our students are going to need so that they can be successful. Because as you said, we don't know what jobs are going to be in 5 years, 10 years. It's changing fast. We had a gentleman, and I'm blanking on his name, but I call him he's an international man, and he travels the world talking about the workforce. And he said the same thing that you said. In 5 years, we don't know what jobs are going to be out there. So we don't know what AI is going to do. So it's evolving so fast that I apologize that I can't say this is what our curriculum is, but right now it's a computer science focus, but for the West Valley, we don't see that that's where it should be for our community. So we're in the talking phase of what to do next. So.
Okay, and the last question we received is, what is the benefit to a small business for becoming an Arizona Forward member?
I think for a small business, you're able to join our issue committees, like I said. So again, that part where you're able to add your voice to the dialogue, meet other like-minded individuals and individuals from those companies that are invested in sustainability, and the networking opportunities. Beyond that, we do have breakfasts and luncheons that we host where we'll invite panels. We'll focus on a specific topic. We have mixers and webinars. So there is an educational piece to it as well. If you're looking to learn more about a specific topic, I invite you to participate. And if you have anyone from your company that would like to be part of the Emerging Sustainability Leaders Program as well, definitely send those folks over and have them participate and, again, network and just be amongst others who are interested in sustainability as well. I think that would be the greatest benefit to a small business.
So we've talked a lot about collaboration. I just quickly want to point out several of our other partners that are here in the room today. So we have Ryan from Arizona Small Business Association. We love our partnership with them. All Avondale businesses get a free membership with ASBA, so definitely talk to us. I know Alex from the Better Business Bureau is here. Thank you so much for all the support that the Better Business Bureau does. They do more than just business certifications. There's a lot of community and small business support that they do. I know we had Alma Pola from the Southwest Valley Chamber here earlier this morning. So we love these collaborations. We've talked about Hub, which is another Avondale opportunity. So a lot of support that's available here through collaborations. Feel free to talk to any of us here at the staff if you'd like to learn more about how to get involved in supporting our business community here in Avondale. We're always looking for those opportunities. Just some closing thoughts here because our time's just about up, but what's something that maybe you've seen lately or read lately or just experienced lately that inspires you towards our future, just keeps you excited and motivated? Let's end on an exciting thought tonight.
Yeah, we come across a lot of great projects and initiatives, but something that I think is really cool is Cul-de-sac Tempe. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. I mean, walkable communities aren't a new concept, but in Arizona where we're so reliant on vehicles, it is innovative just because they're a car-free neighborhood where they're encouraged to walk and take public transit and bike to wherever you work or wherever you're going to play in the community. And so, not only that, but they encourage public gatherings, and the community is self-reliant. So you have a restaurant there, you have a market, and you have small businesses. When I was there, I saw there was 2 retail shops, one's a thrift shop, there's a candle bar, a tea shop, and so I just think it's so neat to see that. I would love to see more of that across the state. So that leaves me hopeful to see more projects like that.
I'm not sure if this is a cop out, but I would say this gathering here today, quite honestly, I'm in my day to day, I'm recruiting relatively large corporations or medium sized businesses that are looking at either a relocation or expansion of a facility or an operation. But really, the groundwork and the base of a really strong, sustainable community is the people, the small businesses, and the individuals that make up that community. So, I would just really applaud the group here today, the city of Avondale, and say that every job can be a green job. Is a definitely something that I always tout in my work as I'm recruiting companies, and certainly putting those types of resources that allow a company to come in and tap into sustainability resources in Metro Phoenix. But I would just say this is super inspiring, and I'd love to see more and more of this going on across our region. So certainly an example, city of Avondale setting.
Ditto, because that's all I can think about is what's geeking me out is the collaboration. I attended an AI cybersecurity event that we hosted at my college, and I'm already thinking about how can we incorporate that with this. I'm thinking about ways how can we incorporate this with our business program at Estrella. How can we incorporate this with maybe our community education classes? We don't have to do credit offerings. We can do some trainings that are non-credit. Like all of this collaboration and seeing Kelly here from Invenergy, we've been doing some initial talks about what are some potential partnerships. And so this is what geeks me out is that there's people out there that want to be better at what they do, and I want to be here to help them. I want to provide that service, and that's what excites me.
I don't think we can end on a better note. So thank you all so much for being here today. Another round of applause for our panel.